Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand, and always when you want. Hello there, everybody. We're doing another Q&A Wednesday, but before we dive into questions today, I just need to talk about something really quick. Last year, I demoed a guitar called the Burns Steer. It was a weird-looking green and black thing from the Black Lagoon. Really odd-looking guitar. Could the owner of that guitar, if you're watching, please contact me at the email in the description box below as soon as possible. I have been trying to email you, but I don't know if my emails are getting through or what the deal is. I don't know what's going on there. But could you please contact me at the description box below, please? Thank you very much. Moving on to question 1 today, everybody. So, question 1 is, I recently bought a Marshall 100 HDFX. Could you tell me how to set it to get a John Frusciante tone? Right, all I can do here is tell you how I set it. The odds on my settings working for you, 100%, and it sounded exactly the same as mine, are very 50-50. You know, there's a lot of variables. There's a ton of variables. So, I'll tell you how I set it, but you might have to tweak it. Okay, so the way I set it is I use OD1, so I go to overdrive 1, and I have gain depending on the amp, because all the MGs are different on their gain structures. For instance, my second ever MG has tons more gain than my first ever MG, and the third MG that I've got has got more gain than my first one, but less than the second one. They're all different in the gain structures. So I use OD1 and I set it either on 3, gain on 3, which is about there, or 4, which is about there. So you might have to mess around depending on which one it is. And I say that varies from amp to amp. So that's how I set the gain. I have bass set at 12 o'clock, so that's just straight up. Middle, treble, and contour are all on 0. So they're all turned down. They're all in that position. And then I have volume cranked all the way to 10 on the channel. Then I use the master volume to attenuate the volume of the amplifier. So, the issue you might have here, and it's the issue that quite a lot of people have had, is that might come across as being really dark and muddy to you for your setup. It might not work for your setup. So, what I'd recommend is if you dial this in with the gain at 3 or 4, bass at 5, 12 o'clock, and then volume all the way up. If it's still dark and really woolly and muddy, then what I would recommend is you dial in the mids. Not treble, not the contour. Leave those 2 dials on 0. Don't touch them. Dial in the mid-range. Bring that mid-range up slowly, but do it from 0. Do not start at 12 o'clock. Do not start with it at 5. Start with it at 0 and gradually bring it up until it sounds to your ear closer, because a lot of people I've told my settings to say, oh, it just comes out really muddy and dark and doesn't work for me. It's not going to necessarily. I can show you settings till the cows come home, but and like what I say is you should always use them as a jumping off point. They're not necessarily going to work for you 100%. You've got to use that setting as kind of like, okay, so that's got me this far, but I still need to go an extra distance, you know what I mean? And that's kind of left down to you, really. So bear that in mind, that when you dial that in the way that I've just said, if it's too dark and woolly, try the mids. If it's not, then yay! But if it's too dark and woolly, then add in the mids. Do not touch treble, do not touch the contour. You don't need them. They're just going to be nasty. They're going to fizz it out. They're going to make it thin, weedy, and brittle, and you don't want that. So add the mids. So that's it, and it's really hard to, you know. This is the thing about settings. You know, like I say, you could go to, say you wanted to sound like Slash. He's the only guy that comes to mind really quickly. But say you wanted to sound like Slash, and you went up to Slash on stage while he's sound checking, and say to him, "Oh, Slash, Mr. Slash, what are the settings on your Silver Jubilee?" And he takes you into the backstage bit and he shows you his Silver Jubilees. And he goes, I have it set like this, 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 and this. And you write them down. And then you go home to your Silver Jubilee and you dial them in. with your Les Paul and you go, hang on, that sounds nothing like what I just heard. It's not going to, because you're not that person. You know what I mean? This is why, when it comes down to getting John Frusciante's tone, I don't think, like I say, I reckon the most important pedals for John's tone are the DS2 and the Ibanez Wah. But the Ibanez Wah, you can get around it. So basically, the most important pedal for John is the DS2, because there is no other pedal that sounds that way. Yes, you can use fuzzes, you can use this, that and the other, but that DS2 is such an integral part of John's tone, and has been forever. You know, it's just that, it's that sound, and it's such a unique pedal. The DS2 is such a unique pedal, it's a need. You know, the Ibanez Wah is a need as well, but you can get around it using like a Vox with a overdrive or distortion in front of it to simulate that boost. So you can kind of get around that. But this is why it's so important to find your way of getting their sound. Because I found a long time ago, I was going to point my pedal board there, but it's not there at this point in time. It's downstairs. But I found a long time ago that to get John's tone, I had to use a pedal. I couldn't, it just what worked for me. You know, I didn't need the CE1 chorus pedal. I didn't need the MXR micro amp, which I tried and hated. I hated the MXR micro amp. It just didn't work for me at all. You know, the CE1, you don't need that pedal. It's not important. You don't need a Jubilee. You don't need a Marshall Major. You know what I mean? You can get his tone your own way. It just takes time to figure out what works for you. For instance, like I found, obviously, the Jackhammer and the Tone City Golden Plexi work for me to get John's dirty clean, and then that controls the Ibanez Wah over the DS2. But I don't know. I don't know. Does it make any sense? My brain's just said you're not making any sense. But yeah, coming down to it, it's you can tell settings all day long, but the fact of the matter is, when you take them away and you put them in to your amp at home or in a different room or whatever, it's not necessarily always going to work. You've got, and I say, with these settings, you've got to use them as a jumping off point to go, okay, so that's got me X amount of the way. I need to get the rest of them out of the way myself by sitting here and just finding what works for me and gets me closest. And the really cool thing with today is we all have a phone with the ability to record either sound or video. And the really cool thing about that is what you can do is then film yourself or record yourself playing, and then watch it back and listen back and see where, it's not the best kind of representation, but it does give you an idea. You can see where you need to kind of go with it, if that makes any sense. So that's how I set the MG if I want the John tone straight in. But bear in mind, use that as a jumping off point. Don't use it as gospel. It probably won't work 100% for you. It'll get you a certain amount of the way, but it won't get you all the way, if that makes any sense. I hope that made sense, because my brain is going crazy right now. It's just like, no, you're an idiot. You can't even, what are you even talking about? You're a fool. So, cheers, brain. Anyway, so I hope that's your question. Bit long-winded answer, I know, but that's what I kind of do. I can't answer things short. It feels wrong. It feels wrong to answer things short. It's like I'm cheating you out of things, and I don't like the feeling of it. I don't like the idea of how to say yes, no, maybe, that kind of answer. I like to be able to kind of give as much depth and as much kind of in-depth knowledge as I can in questions. I just feel otherwise it's kind of like not right. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. Like I say, and if it sounds too dark, bring in the mids. I say don't touch the treble or the console. No, you want to use that mid-range dial to dial it in the rest of the way. So I hope that's your question. I hope it's made sense. Going to move on to question 2 now. Okay, so question 2's got a few bits and pieces. Part A of question 2 is, if you had to live with one of your guitars for the rest of your life, but you're not allowed the 62 or Mr. White, which guitar would it be? This is actually bizarrely really easy to answer. It's my red Oswald, the most recent Oswald I got at the end of last year. Or was it beginning of this year? I forget. It seems like such a long time ago now. Everything, so much has changed. I don't actually know where I'm at. Feels like decades. Okay, so yeah, it's my red hardtail Oswald. In the little time that I've had that guitar is with those two. The 62 and the Mr. White are really deep. They're not just guitars. You know what I mean? Not to say my other ones are as well. I love all my guitars, but Mr. White has got so much emotional time and effort and experience in it for me, because I'm the only owner of the White Strat. No one's ever owned it. That's my guitar, and I've had it forever. And I recently discovered that I don't. I was curious the other day of, like, you know, I don't play my White Strat as much as I used to. And I was talking to a friend, and it dawned on me why I don't play my White Strat as much as I used to. Is because it's so emotionally charged, that guitar. Mr. White is a very heavy guitar for me to play, if that makes it, like, emotionally heavy guitar to play, because it's been there since 2004, and really that's the guitar I've played the most out of all my guitars I own. That is the one that's got the most hours on it. Let me point to the right guitar. That's the one that's got the most hours on it. No ifs, no buts to any of my other guitars. That's the one I've spent most of my time on. You know, writing, recording, you know, playing, practicing, whatever, you know, you name it. Me and that guitar have been through everything. And because of that, it's so heavy emotionally that it is quite a hard guitar to play, because it's not just a guitar anymore, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It's so much more to me than that. And I love it, you know, and it's one of those guitars that I'll never be without, but it's quite a heavy, hard guitar to play, you know what I mean, in the motion of things, because it's got so much attached to it. And the same goes for the 62. The 62, I play tons. I actually play the 62 more than my White Strat at this point in time. But again, like I say, because the White Strat's so heavy and it's got so much in it, it's quite hard to, and especially because of what's going on through previous months and stuff. There's a lot in that guitar, and it's quite hard to do. And the 62 is kind of the same. It's got a real emotional backstory, you know, because of Malcolm, the original owner of it, and obviously it's my dream guitar, and the fact that, like, you know, you all helped me kind of, like, get that, and it's now just sat there. It's just unreal to me. It's got so much attached to it. I actually, like I said, I play that thing every day. I don't think there's a single day I haven't played that thing at least for five minutes or 5 seconds or whatever. I pick it up every day. It's always getting played, and it's just I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful, and again, it'll never leave me. And that red Strat is exactly the same. As soon as I picked that guitar up, I remember clearly opening the case on that unboxing video. And this is going to sound really weird and it's a bit strange, but go with me and just bear with me for a second. As soon as I opened that case, because I'd seen pictures of Nick building the guitar, and he'd posted pictures of the guitar before it got here. But as soon as I opened that case, it hit me really hard. Like, really, really, really hard. I don't know why. I've had guitars where I've opened the case before and it's like, oh my god, that's absolutely amazing. The Oswald Telly, the first ever Oswald, you know, all my guitars that I've got are just like, you know, it's a very emotional moment when you get one. But for some reason that red one just was heavier. You know, the weight of it, it was like, it's like I had lost it years ago, and it came back. You know what I mean? It feels like, and it still feels like that way now. It's like I've known that. It's like I've had that guitar for as long as I've had Mr. White. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's hard to explain, but I love all my guitars to pieces, but the connection I have with the red Strat, the Oswald, is the same as I have with the White Strat and the 62. It's a deeper thing where they're not just guitars. You know what I mean? Not to say my others are just guitars, because they're not. But it's really hard to explain this. But there's a connection that I don't have as heavy with my other guitars than I do with those three. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Mr. White, the 62 and the red Strat, they are really connected. And I say, when I opened the case on that red Strat, I was actually welling up. I was actually getting really emotional. I actually wanted to break down and I actually wanted to break down and cry. I really did. And I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. And in the video, I just went quiet. And when I started playing it, I was just like, you feel like it just feels like an old friend. It does. It feels like a guitar that got, say, like I got. It's like my first guitar that I was doing a gig and it got stolen and it was missing for 17 years, well, just under 17 years, and then it got given back to me. You know what I mean? It's like it's weird. It's such a strange guitar that, and I don't know why that one has connected so heavily to me, but it has. And like I say, it's just one of those guitars that I could never do without anymore. And it's just, I love it. I love it so much. It's just, so to answer your question in a long-winded way again, that's the reason why it'd be the red Oswald. If somebody said you can't have those two, but you can only have one for the rest of your life, it'd be the red Oswald. Which again is strange because they don't even have a trem. It's a hardtail, but there's something in it. And again, I can't thank Nick enough for that guitar because I don't know what it is about it, but it's just ridiculous. I love it so much. It's just like, you know, hence the plectrum wear. You know, I honest, that is not faked. That is me playing that thing. And also, because it came about at the time that I was going through the breakup with Joe, I was angry and upset. And I was playing that guitar every day, very aggressively. You know what I mean? And also at the time, I didn't use thin picks. I wasn't using a thin plectrum. I was using a really heavy pick. I've actually still got it. It's up there in the thing. It was actually, do you know those little kind of tins you get of, like, you know, like Jimi Hendrix plectrums and Led Zeppelin plectrums where you got all like the branding on them. I was using this Led Zeppelin. Let me show you. So that's the plectrum I was using. That's good. You can't even see. There. So you can see how much I've worn it out. Now I've kept it because of this reason. But I was using this pick, and it's still bendy, but it's quite thick. But that was the pick I was using at the time, and I've kept it. And I don't know why I've kept it, to be honest with you. But that was the pick I was using at the time, and I was just battering the guitar. And the thing is, because it's a nitro finish, you do go through it fairly quick if you're a heavy-handed oaf, which I am. But yeah, there's neither here nor there, Dave. Shut up. But yeah, anyway, to answer your question, it's the red Oswald. And I could talk about that for hours. I'm very distracted today by stuff, so sorry everyone. I've got quite a bit on my mind, but I hope this is making sense. So yeah, it'd be the red Oswald. I'm just going to stop talking now because I will be here for hours and I have other questions to get to. So yeah, so if I had one guitar for the rest of my life, it couldn't be the 62 or Mr. White. It'd be the red Oswald because he's just another best mate. He's just part of me. You know, that guitar will be forever part of me, and I'll never be without that guitar. It's coming on holiday with me in April. That guitar's coming with me on holiday. I just can't be without that guitar. I can't. I had a gig on Saturday and I nearly didn't take it because I thought I needed to do something that required me to have a tremolo. And so I thought, okay, well I took the John Frusciante replica. And I was like, I'll take something else as well. I was thinking of taking my Oswald Telly. And I was thinking, I can't leave it behind. I just can't. I need that guitar with me. And oddly enough, at the gig, it was the third song in the set when I needed the tremolo. And I played the John Strat for the first 3 songs. As soon as I didn't need the tremolo anymore, I switched to the red Strat and I didn't play the John Strat just got moved back to backup again. I just used the red Strat all night. And I play that thing every day. You know, it's just... there's just something in it. There's something in it. It's very... extremely special. It's not just a guitar. It's not just a guitar. Okay, so I'm going to have to move on. So part B of question 2 is another if you had to live with one if you had to live with one brand new factory guitar for the rest of your life, what would it be? So no custom shop, no custom builders. It's got to be a factory built guitar. What would it be? So if I had to pick one, It's really difficult. That one's difficult because there's so many. Because there's the Squire Classic Vibe, there's the Revelation Strat, which is the RT57? I forget. I demoed it a while back. It's this kind of like Daphne Blue Stratocaster, and I've tried a couple of other Revelation Strats, and they're just ridiculous. But it's a toss-up between the Classic Vibe and the Revelation Strats. The double cut, the Strat, S-type, whatever you want to call it. It's a Strat. Because them two are awesome. I mean, there's the Squire Bullet as well, though. But I want the tremolo. I would want the tremolo on it, because I'm saying that there, I don't know. Oh, gravy. I like the Revelations neck more than the Classic Vibe. Revelations necks are just fantastic. There's something about the necks on Revelations are just filth. Absolute filth. I don't know what specs they are, but they are awesome. They're so good. I love the necks on Revelations. The Squire Classic Vibe neck was really nice as well. I would have to go to Revelation. I think. I prefer the pickups on the Revelation to the Classic Vibe. The Classic Vibe's pickups are really nice, and they have that classic Strat tone. But the Revelations pickups have a little bit more. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. But, and the necks as well, and I would have to go for Revelation. I would love the Daphne Blue one that I demoed. I would love one of those. Or what, the 62s. What was it, ST62 or something like that? I don't know. I've tried a few of them, and they're just always such good guitars. It's like the RTL 59s. It's just that to me is just, like I said, it's a funny thing to say, but my RTL 59 is the only Les Paul I'll ever want from now on. I've got my Epiphone and I've got my my vintage Lemon Drop, but I don't play them as much as I play that RTL 59. I mean, I'm not a big Les Paul guy, but I love Les Pauls. But that RTL 59, if I had to get rid of my other two Les Pauls for whatever reason, the RTL would be the one I'd kept. I mean, I wouldn't want to ever get rid of my Epiphone or the Lemon Drop just because of, again, emotional attachment. But if I had to, if you give me a choice between those three Les Pauls, it'd be the RTL 59. I've totally gone off the question, haven't I? Okay, but yeah, I would have to go. If it was one factory made guitar, it'd have to be a Revelation. It'd have to be the, I can't remember what they are. I seem to think it was like the ST57 or something like that, and then there's the ST62. It would have to be one of the Revelation Strats because I just love them. I just love the Revelation guitars. I think they're just unreal. Unreal guitars. I've never played a bad one either. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, even that, I remember they sent me this weird Martian looking thing. It's just a weirdo guitar. And I was like, I'm going to hate this. I am not going to like this guitar. And it was wicked. So, I don't know. Be that for what it may. All I can be is honest, and that was my choice. It'd be a Revelation. It'd be one of their Strats. That Daphne Blue one was just absolutely heart-meltingly beautiful in every way. The way it played, the way it sounded, everything about it was amazing. So yeah, that would be. So if I had to pick a brand new factory guitar, that'd be the one I'd pick. So, you also asked, the last part of question 2 is, which celebrity guitar would you like to own? John Frusciante's 62 Fender Stratocaster. Easy, quick answer. If I could own any guitar and money was no option and John was willing to sell it to me, I would own his 62 Fender Strat. Hands down. Even over Jimmy's Woodstock guitar, Peter Green's Les Paul, Rory Gallagher's guitar, Gary Moore's Stripe, trying to think of any others. Any of those guitars, even over Jimi Hendrix's Black Strat, which is my favourite guitar of his, it would have to be John's 62, because that's the guitar I always wanted. That was, just got obsessed with 62 Stratocasters. From the first year I was playing guitar and found out John Frusciante played a 62 Strat, I was obsessed with the number 62 Strat. That 62 Strat. To me, that just, I love that. I just love it. I love that. It just makes me really happy. Much in the same way as Mike McCready has a bit of an obsession with the number 59. Because his main strat, his Sunburst strat is a 59. He's got two 59 Les Paul bursts. He's got a 59 Junior. He likes the number 59. He's got it tattooed on his wrist, which I can't remember which wrist it is, but he's got it tattooed on his wrist. So yeah, I mean that's where my obsession with 62 Strat came from. Is John Frusciante. So if I could own any guitar in the world, it'd be John's 62. I get this impression he wouldn't part with it, but maybe we come some sort of arrangement. I don't know. But yeah, that'd be the guitar I'd own. People of the Tube, that question goes to you. Which celebrity guitar, if there was no budget or anything like that involved, which guitar would you own and why? Let us know in the description box below. Which one would you own? Okay, so moving on to question 3. Okay, so question 3 is, where in the effects chain would you recommend a zoom pedal to go? I would recommend it to go at, I want to say the beginning, which means it's at the end. So, to me, the best place to run a zoom pedal, I think, is after the amp. So, from the amp, go to the zoom pedal, and then to your other effects, and then out to your guitar. I can never remember. I don't know which way it goes. That's the way I see it. I always see the amp as the starting point, and the guitar is kind of like, the end. I don't know why. That's just the way I see it. So I would always recommend it to go there. So amp, zoom pedal, other effects, guitar. That's where I'd recommend it. That's where I've always found it works the best, and it also, because they've got bypass function, you can use it as a mute, and it's just really, really cool. I just found the effects seem nicer and cleaner there because they're going straight to the amp instead of kind of like going through other effects before getting there, so to say. So I just find it's cleaner. So that's where I would recommend running. That's why I've always run mine. And I have tried with it in different places. I've experimented with a zoom pedal all over just because, but I always came back to finding that place as being the place it works best. So amp, zoom, other effects, guitar. Job's a good one. So I hope it's answered your question. Moving on to question 4 now. That was a quick answer. Okay, so question 4. I get confused when I give quick answers because I'm like, did I answer it properly? I get a bit freaked out. Okay, so question 4. Stop being distracted. What kind of head are your MGs? I've never seen them in JMP boxes before. Yeah, my MGs are custom fitted into Marshall Super Leads by a friend of mine called F8 Guitar Cabs in Lincoln, local city to me. My friend does it for me. Yeah, they're not stock. It's like a custom thing, basically. It was a couple of years ago. Somebody said, "Have you seen this?" And I found he was local. And now I've owned loads of his amps in the past. He's built me quite a few amps, but I only have 2 flexes left now. But yeah, my MGs, my MG number 2 and MG number 3 are basically custom. They're kind of retrofitted basically into a Marshall Super Lead box. Technically, if you want to get really geeky about this, they're technically the Marshall Artist head box because of the bigger panel, or the Marshall Super PA. They're technically not a Super Lead or a Super Bass because the Super Lead and the Super Bass have a smaller cutout for the panel for where the dials are. The Super PA has a huge cutout, and the Artist, I don't know which one it'd be. I swear it's called an Artist. I think it's got an E on the end. I don't know. Could be just an artist. But there's an amp called the Marshall Artist, which is there's a combo, and there's also a head, and we had one in Old Hat, and they have the exact right cutout on the front panel to house an MG. So yeah, but yeah, like I say, it's basically retrofitted into a Super Lead box with a bigger panel. I'm getting stupid now, aren't I? Why did I even say that? Was that relevant? Probably not, Dave, but here we are nonetheless. Sometimes. Okay, so yeah, the MG2 and MG3 are just kind of, like I say, they're retrofitted. My MG1 that sat behind the camera, my first ever MG that I got in 2004, I've toyed with the idea of getting that done, but I'm not going to, because that's the way I bought it, that's the way I want it to stay. And say that's my number one amp, the one that you can't see sadly, but it's sat behind. That's the one, you know, that gave me the sound I always wanted, so to say. So yeah, they retrofitted, and I say it's FA Guitar Cabs who does the work, and he does do, you know, shipping for overseas and whatnot. So if you go on Facebook and look up FA Guitar Cabs, you'll find him, and he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome. I'm convinced there's nothing that man can't make. Don't quote me on that, and I'm sure, you know, don't ask him to build you a house. But I say you could probably do that as well. Just be a big Marshall Bluesbreaker house. Actually. Okay, so anyway, I'm going up my mind today. So where are we? So yeah, so FA Guitar Cabs, name of the guy does it. So moving on, question 5. So distracted today. My brain's just going in a million different directions. So question 5 today is, what do you feel the cause for you not liking the Katana Mark II is? The reason I don't like the Mark II Katana is it just feels wrong. Lack of better words, to put it simply, it feels wrong. It lacks depth. It certainly doesn't lack tone. Sounds wicked. But it lacks feel and depth. And it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Because I'm a lucky git, and I've played through so many amps in my life, from vintage amps, like really old amps, to really modern amps. I know what I want out of an amplifier, and I can normally tell within a couple of seconds if the amp will do what I want it to do, or I'll like it. Because I know the sound I want in my head. I have this sound in my head that I know what I want. And if the amp doesn't do it within a couple of seconds, I get a bit disinterested. I don't want to have to, I want to play the guitar. I don't want to have to work for the sound. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know the sound I want. So if I can get it really quick, I'm happy, because then I can just play. I don't want to be sat there for minutes or hours or whatnot, tweaking an amplifier to make it respond and work and behave and sound the way I want it to. Much in the same way as the Marshall Code. You know, the Marshall Code sounded good, but there was so much messing about with it, and there were so many bells and whistles on it that, for me, it just didn't work. You know, it's not a bad amp. The Marshall Code isn't a bad amp, but to me, it just didn't work. I just didn't get on with that thing. Although I would like to give it a second go. But to me, then I was like, yeah, but it didn't work the first time. What makes you think it's going to work second? You know, because I did toil over that amp. I did toil over the code, but it never sunk in. It never clicked. The same with the Katana Mark II. It just was the same. The breaking point for me with the Mark II, when I was like, I'm selling this, I'm getting rid of it, was I was rehearsing with my friend Dan. And we were playing, and I was like, I can't feel my sound. I can hear it, but I can't feel it. And we were halfway through a song, and I started a guitar solo, and I just started the solo, and I stopped. And I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. It wasn't there. And I stopped, and I went and got the Mark I, and I plugged the Mark I in, and it was back. And it was literally, it was frustrating. It was upsetting me more than anything, because I was just like, I can't feel it. I can hear it, but I can't feel it. And if I can't feel it, then I can't. It's just a distraction, you know. And I don't want to be distracted when I play. I hate being distracted when I play. I want to be able to focus on the music, and that's all. And when I feel that something isn't there, it's just I can't do it. So it just, you know, the fundamental factor is the Mark II just didn't feel right. And it's such a weird thing to say, and it's so kind of like, you know, not really an answer, but it just didn't feel right. It just felt wrong. Which is a shame, because the Mark II is a great amp. It sounds amazing. It does sound amazing. But as soon as I plug into the Mark I, I'm like, there it is. It's the same thing I get when I plug into the CR120 or my Marshall MGs. It's like, there it is, you know. And I got it through the Vox Escort as well. Like, there it is, you know what I mean. And some other amps I've got as well. But the Mark II Katana wasn't there. The Marshall Code wasn't there. Marshall the dual super leads, it's not there. The triple super leads, it's definitely not there. You know, Mesa Boogie, I've never got on with Mesa Boogie amplifiers. Blackstar, I've never got on with Blackstar amplifiers. You know, all these amps that I've tried, you know, I know what I want, and when it's not there, it really gets to me very quickly. And like I say, it just becomes a distraction, because all I end up focusing on, instead of actually playing music, all I end up focusing on is the amp. And I don't want to have to focus on the amp. I like to set the amp, forget it, and just play. It's why I love. It's one of the reasons why I love solid state so much, and don't really go for valve. Is I don't like inconsistency of tone. I like to be able to go to my amp and it sound the same every day. No ifs, no buts. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, no matter where I am in the world, that's the amp. I can just set it, forget it. I don't have to worry about it. I don't like to constantly tweak amplifiers. I don't like to tweak pedal. I don't like to tweak anything unless I have to. The settings on the Marshall MG behind you haven't changed since the day I got it. The settings on my CR120 haven't changed since the week I got it. Yeah, it took me a little bit longer to dial that thing in. The Katana took me no time at all. You know, within, I think a week, I was done with that thing, and it was amazing. I think, yeah, it could be a bit longer actually. I forget, but like, I don't like the distractions. I like to, like I said, I just like to be able to plug in and play. I don't like to have to tweak and alter and mess around, and I'm not that kind of player. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really appeal to me to do that kind of thing. So, and the Mark II had me doing that a lot. Oh, it's just a bit too MIDI now. Oh, it's a bit too bassy now. Oh, it's a bit too much this. It's a bit too much. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there for me. Not to say it's a bad amp. It's a wicked amp. It just wasn't for me. Like I say, and the ultimate reason is it just didn't feel right. And if something doesn't feel right, and you can feel it, not here, but you can feel it in you that it isn't right, then it's definitely not right. It's like if you're at the top of a building and your brain says, I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this before, but I've had this before. If you're at the top of a building, like a high building, and your brain says, oh, I wonder what would happen if we just jumped off. Have you ever had that? I've spoken to a few people who've had this. You know, and you start going, what would happen if I jumped off? And then your inner self goes, we are not jumping off. You know, that's not the voice of reason. This part of you is the voice of reason. You can feel that. It's that gut instinct that you have to go, I'm not jumping off a high-rise building, we'll die. Where your brain goes, I wonder what it would feel like. You know, it's bizarre. And that's exactly the way I feel about guitar tones and stuff like that. Is if I can feel it in me, not there, I know what the sound I want. The sound I want is up here. And I know how to get that sound I want because it's up here. I know how to do it. But the sound comes from here. If that makes any sense. That doesn't make sense. But, yeah. And because of that, it was like, when it's not there, it's not there. And the Mark II was never there. It was just never there. And, yeah, it just drove me balmy, actually, to be honest with you. I say I just lost it, and my friend Dan was laughing. He's laughing his head off at me. Because I was like, it's not the sound! It was really funny because I was getting really upset about my sound. I was saying to Dan, I was like, it's my sound, but I can't. It's not my sound. It's really weird, like weird, kind of like going around like round the garden, just like not explaining anything. I don't know. So I can't feel it. Anyway. Fundamental factor of the Mark II is I couldn't feel the amp. I couldn't feel the sound of it whatsoever, so it just didn't work out to me. Okay, so you also asked, have I tried the Katana Artist? No, I've never tried the Katana Artist. I would like to, but unfortunately it's way out of my price range and I can't afford to buy one. And sadly I don't know anybody within a distance who has one I could borrow for a while or anything. So Maybe one day I'll try the Katana Artist. Sorry, that's just tickled me, that one. It was funny though. I mean, when I got the Mark II, I just was like in hysterics. Sorry, when I went and got the Mark I and plugged the Mark I instead of a Mark II, I was like, that's it! That's the sound! I can feel it again! I was like, all of a sudden, like, all that kind of like, all that feeling and depth came back. It was like I was just like emotionally cut off from the Mark II, and as soon as the Mark I came back in, it was like absolute, like, my heart is in that amp. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden, like, you know, we're one instead of just being like separate elements of this kind of thing. You know, you're just one kind of thing. You know, you're making music as a unit instead of it just kind of like being separate entities. And again, that's the way I feel about, you know, my guitars, especially, I say, the White Strat, the 62, and Mr. Red. You know, there is a oneness that I have with those guitars. Those three guitars, I'm just absolutely connected to on such a high emotional level. It's crazy. The one below that would be my Telecaster, the Oswald Telly. There's always something in that guitar as well. But yeah, one day I'll have to do a video like my top 10 guitars I couldn't live without. It has to be 10 because I love so many of my guitars. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so I hope that's the question. Final question there, everybody. Moving on to final question, question 6. The tremolo arm on my Classic Vibe Strat is stuck. What can I do? Okay, it could be stuck for a couple of reasons. But I experienced this recently with one of my Squires. My Squire Jimmy Strat, the tremolo arm on that seized. It won't come out now, but I have got it moving again. What I just did is just sprayed WD-40 oil basically into the tremolo cavity, into the tremolo hole, basically around the arm, and it just loosened it up basically. I think what's happened is it's kind of like it's threaded itself into the zinc, the composite block, the zinc block. It's threaded itself into it basically, and I think what happens is, I don't know what happens is, but it seems to me what happens is that zinc block seems to grab the arm and not let it go. It's like it wraps itself around the arm, and it's just like, you're not going anywhere. So what I would recommend, and what I did to mine, because I say mine would not move, it was stuck in one position. I couldn't move it anywhere. You had to really hit it to get it out the way. And so what I did is I just got some WD-40, just like, you know, just oil, like, you know, just lubricating oil, and just sprayed it down into the hole, and let it, you know, left it for about a couple of seconds, and then just started to move the arm about, and eventually it came free, and now it's free. So job's a good one. So that's what I would recommend. People of the tube, the question goes out to anyone out there who might be able to answer this question as well. If your arm gets stuck in your tremolo block, especially a zinc block, the zinc composite block, what can you do to get it unstuck? Is there anything else you can recommend other than just kind of like, you know, just getting lubricant in there to kind of free it up? Let us know in the comment section below. See if we can, if there's anybody, you know, who's got any ideas or experienced this. Let us know in the comment section below what you'd recommend. Because I say, what works for me is just spraying like WD-40 down there, and it worked a treat, and now it's as free as a bird. So that's what I would recommend. But people of the tube, let us know in the comment section below. Okay, so that's it, everybody. Yeah, there we go. I hope I've answered your questions okay, and I do apologise for me being rather distracted today. There's quite a bit on my mind and a few things here and there that I'm a bit kind of worrying me and bothering me, and so I do apologise if, you know, I answered your questions okay. Hopefully there's something in there you can kind of take away. But as I say, if you want to submit questions to Q&A Wednesday, description box below has an email link. Email me there. As well as the email link, there is links to my Facebook, Instagram, and my Bandcamp where my music is. I keep getting comments of people saying, "Oh, you need to release an album. You need to release your music." There's my Bandcamp down there. That's got quite a bit. It's got a little bit of music. Well, not quite a bit. A little bit. Not loads of music, but it's got a few bits on there. So if you are interested in listening to kind of my music and whatnot, then follow the link to my Bandcamp, and yes, and have a listen if you feel inclined to. So yeah. Again, I hope that's questions okay. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you on Friday. Friday's video, we're gonna dive into a pedal which I've wanted to demo for ages, and it's this one. Let me just see if I can get it out quick. My pedal drawer here, and also I have another one which is really, really cool, which was custom made to me, which I've been really remiss in not demoing yet. But this is the pedal we're going to talk about on Friday, because this is a ridiculously good pedal. The Marshall Blues Breaker pedal. But this is the BB2. Not the original Blues Breaker. This is the kind of like the second incantation, if you will, the Blues Breaker. And in my opinion, this is superior to the original in every way. And we'll dive into this on Friday, because it's such an awesome pedal. And I love it. So, yeah, I will see you on Friday for this. And I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't plugged this in for a while, and I've been really remiss in not doing this. And like I said, I also have another pedal which I'm going to show you on Friday. Sorry, that's really, really special as well. So yeah, I'll see you on Friday for pedal time. And until then, have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. And I'll see you again very soon. Have a great one. Goodbye now. Thank you for watching. Hope I answered your questions okay. Blues Breaker Fun Friday. Joy. Okay, so I'll see you then. Have a great one. Goodbye now. Thank you.